We start PM.
Okey, boleh. InsyaAllah. Okey, sebelum kita start, saya mohon kerjasama semua untuk tutup mic sekejap ya sementara saya bercakap. Tolong off mic. Okey, kalau boleh tolong on the video pun tak apa, tapi off the mic ya. Okay, thank you very much di atas kerjasama semua ya. So saya shall start now. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and a very good morning to our honourable speaker yang berbahagia Dr. Zafira Nadia Mas, our resource person Dr. Anis Sazira, our beloved lecturers and also last but not least, our quantity surveying students, especially students in semester 04, Bachelor Quantity Surveying Honours. Before we start this particular event on this very Barakah Day, that is Hari Jumaat, I would like to invite all to recite Khitab Al-Fatihah so that our majlis ilmu hari ini diberkati. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Jazakallahu khairan katsira. Terima kasih banyak-banyak. Thank you very much. Okay, the topic for today's presentation is very interesting. It's interesting because it's in tandem with what is happening in the industry at the moment. In fact, it is one of the trending topic in the construction industry in line with the Industrial Revolution 4.0. We put the title Transforming the Quantity Surveying Professions Through Big Data because we believe that quantity surveyors with the all the facilities, softwares, all the innovations in the IT sphere will help quantity surveying to do work much more diligently and increase their productivity and performance. I don't want to talk much about big data for the time being because I want to leave to the speaker to elaborate more on the what is big data, what it can actually do to quantity surveying, and then how can it improve the estimating process, especially for students who are joining us at the moment. The majority of them are actually sitting for construction economics semester 04, and they are learning as one of the element in the syllabus is on estimating, and we would like to expose all of the students and also the lecturers to big data, as we believe that in future, I think in the near future, all of us need to actually incorporate this in the syllabus and teach this in a very much more detail. So as such, let's just regard this particular presentation today as an introduction to big data, so that perhaps after this we have more clearer of what big data can do to us, the quantity surveyor, and also to the construction industry in general. Now, I have the honor to introduce our eminent speaker for today, Dr. Zafira Nadia Mas. I first met her in Sarawak during the Pacific Asia Quantity Surveying Conference, and it struck to me that this beautiful young lady, not just beautiful but also very highly intellectual, but at the same time, I remember I said to her that one day I hope she champion big data and also new IT areas, so that this topic will become, how should I say, will not just create awareness, but at the same time be able to be well received by the industry. So let me just introduce her. I am quite impressed with her CV, but what I hope to do is I want the students who are listening now get inspired to see her qualification and her background and try to strive to become like her one day, inshallah. Okay. Dr. Zafira Nadia is the name, the owner of the name. She's actually got her Bachelor in Quantity Surveying from University Technology Malaysia with first class honours, in 2015. Then she pursued her master's in the University of Aberdeen, UK, with distinction, in 2017. And later she obtained her PhD in quantity surveying. Specifically, her topic area is Big Data Framework for Quantity Surveying Firm in Malaysia, 2020. And her supervisor is none other than Dr. Samsul Hadi, who is with us today, and also Prof. Ruslan from UTM. Beside that, I would like to recite a little bit some of her work experience. She has worked with Arcadice Malaysia, and one of the projects that she was involved with KL Eco City, NASA DDI, and also Saindabi Properties in the procurements and also project sections as an project executive. Among her projects that she involved were KL East, Serini Malawati, Bryang Estate, and many more. Beside that, she's also received quite a number of prestigious awards, among others, RICSC Young Achiever Award 2020 as a nominee by the Royal Institutions of Chartered Surveyor. She's also received the Best Paper Award, Emerging Technology, in one of the conference that is PAQS Kuching 2019. She also obtained the Best Paper Award under the area of information technology in the 4th International Postgraduate Conference on Business Management 2018. And she's also gained another prestigious award, that is Scottish Young Entrepreneur Award 2016. She has produced and involved in so many papers, publications, and research projects. I wouldn't like to go through all of them, but enough to say that I'm so happy and we are all lucky that she has consented to give the talk today. So without much ado, I would like to give the floor over to Dr. to Dr. Zafira Nadia Mas to present our topic for presentation today, that is transforming the quantity surveying profession through big data. Over to you, Doctor.
Assalamualaikum everyone. Very good morning. First and foremost, thank you Budi Asmawati for inviting me, and also thank you to Department of Quantity Surveying in UITM for having me today. I'm so humbled by your introduction. Okay, okay lah, kita start lah. Sekejap let me share the screen. Yep. Okay, so today is Friday, so in JB we're not working on Friday. But so today will be I hope it will be a very informal session. I will try and share a little bit about what I know on big data, and I hope that you guys will also share your thoughts on what do you think of big data. Feel free to interrupt me if you have anything to ask or to clarify or to actually share with me. And yep, so today I'm going to talk about how can we transform the quantity surveying profession through the big data. So actually, big data is something that is happening around us in our daily life. The technology is actually very seamlessly incorporated in our daily life that we as a human, we actually realize that the applications, the things that we do on a daily basis is actually big data. So one of the example of big data is actually YouTube. So I'm pretty sure everyone here today pernah guna YouTube. So and also some people, they are addicted to YouTube like me. So, but not many of us actually know YouTube is actually a version of application that use big data technology. So how is YouTube a form of big data technology? So every time you go into YouTube, whatever that you watch, the big data system or technology will actually pick up the videos that you like to watch. So then they'll do some analysis, and then if you go to your homepage, they will actually share with you similar videos that you would like to watch, that you frequently watch on YouTube. For instance, this is my personal YouTube homepage. So basically, it shares. This one is actually I took last night lah. So basically, it represents who I am personally. I like traveling, so this is like some of the suggestions on traveling. I was very impressed by Kamala Harris, the very first female vice president of the United States of America. So I watched a lot of her speech past few days, past the election. So now YouTube is suggesting me more speeches of Kamala Harris. So there's also some TED videos because I love watching TED videos every morning before I start my day. And also something about interior designing because I find joy in actually decorating things. So this is some suggestion on how Kendall Jenner actually, decorate her house. So that is how big data improves people and make people stay in YouTube. And sometimes you masuk dekat YouTube, you find that yourself in YouTube for 2 hours that you don't even realize. So there's this thing, dulu-dulu, people say if you want to know somebody, you look into their eyes because your eyes are the mirrors of your soul, right? But then it's really funny that nowadays, takkan lah if you want to know a person, let's say in your first date, macam tu kan, you want to go and stare at that person's eyes. You look so weird, so funny, macam tak nak lah buat benda-benda macam tu. So if you want to know a person, one quick way that you can do that is actually by using YouTube through big data technology. You just go and ask the person, hi, boleh tak guna your YouTube account for a while? And just skim there and see the kind of videos that they watch because those represents the personality of a person. So secondly is Shopee. Past video was 11/11 punya sale, right? I'm pretty sure everybody use Shopee. So now let's do something. Let's try and go into Shopee and see how Shopee is big data. Shopee asli pula. Alright. So this is the Shopee website. I'm pretty sure ramai orang guna Shopee nowadays, since that we can't go out and do our shopping outside, right? So for instance, today maybe I nak beli, let's say Tefal frying pan. Okay, let's try and do that. So the algorithm through big data would suggest you everything that is tagged under frying pan. Most of it are Tefal because you put the keyword there is Tefal frying pan, right? So for instance, I click this one. This is what I want to buy. So okay, you can read the review, blah blah blah. And then scroll lagi. Okay. These are the things that would make you spend more in Shopee. So intentionally, right, if I go into Shopee hari ni, let's say I wanted to buy a Tefal frying pan, which is exactly this thing. Tapi when I go and I scroll, the website would suggest something that is not frying pan. Let's see. Dekat sini. Ada tak? Alamak. Tak jadi pula. Sekejap.
Air fryer kot Zafira, healthier.
Saya okay. So macam dekat sini, sometimes usually few days ago dia akan tunjuk utensils that you would use macam the things like senduk ke ataupun spatula untuk complement your product. Macam dekat sini you nampak the non-stick wok for deep frying, stuff like that. And also see dia ada jual the penutup only. Those are the things that are usually associated with the person who are buying frying pan. So this actually is big data. So big data recognize the patterns. See, kalau orang beli frying pan, they would buy the periuk, or they would buy the cooking utensils. So intentionally, this would bring you to macam impulsive buying tau. So you'll be like, I would need this. So then you put it into the cart and then you will spend more. So this is how big data, Shopee use big data so that you keep coming to Shopee and buy more than what you intend to. So that is the second example. Going on to the third one, this is much more pressing at the moment. We're talking about the coronavirus. So this is the Johns Hopkins University website. You can go there. This is one of the most visited website since the coronavirus in early February 2020. So this website actually uses big data. So if you see there, there is like all these statistics on how many cases by region or countries that are affected by the coronavirus pandemic. So this actually gives us some information so that you can actually understand what is the severity of coronavirus at this particular area or that particular area, and therefore having those information, you can actually make decisions on what you should do to minimize the effect of coronavirus pandemic. It is also sekarang we use big data is empowering applications that help to support to combat the coronavirus punya spread, which is in Malaysia we use MySejahtera. So MySejahtera is also empowered by big data. How is it empowered by big data? Is sekarang wherever you go, it's compulsory for you to actually scan the QR, the code, right? So that it will track you wherever you go. Kita tahu kita pergi mana. So whenever there is a contact case, so you will be alerted through the app. That's the importance kenapa you kena scan. So you will be alerted through the app, and so that you know, now I have positive contact cases, and what should I do? I should, contact the KKM and stuff like that. It will also, have all these green and red things where you can track in your phone whether you are in the red area or green area or blue area or black area. This gives some sort of information on how you should move about, using the app in terms of how you contact with other people to minimize the contact of coronavirus pandemic. Kenapa tak boleh? Get someone help me.
Tak apa Zafira, take your time.
I cannot ke depan.
This is what happens when we do things online, kan? Sometimes there's a moment where, things just don't work as we expect them to work.
So, wait. Hold on. Okay, so to understand how people understand big data in terms of like defining big data, I guess if you go to Google and you try and write the word big data itself, I can guarantee you the first Google searches page on big data currently are still talking about defining big data. I mean, outside from the computer science, domain. Because people outside from the computer science domain are still figuring out how we can understand big data and also use this technology to improve our profession, our services, and also our industry. So this is actually a representation of, word cloud representation of what people understand about big data. So if you see here, the words that are associated with understanding big data is Python, software, system networks. These words are very, very complex for us. It's a very complex jargon that, people outside from computer science will be like, what? We don't understand this thing. What is even Python? So these actually create, impression that big data is very, very hard. Actually, it's not. And then after that, you try and see papers that are explaining about big data. I can guarantee you are very familiar with these things, macam all these big data frameworks and big data architecture. But I guess for us in the construction industry, especially for the QS profession, we don't have to actually understand the complexity of big data up to this level. Big data is actually very simple. This is my findings in 2018. This is data from 2018 when I actually go and ask quantity surveyors and ask them, what do you think about big data? Most of them are still clueless about big data. Macam bila I tanya, what is big data? And they'll be like, I pernah dengar about big data, but not really sure what is it all about. And some people, they'll be like, yeah, I know it's 3V characteristics, volume, velocity, and variety. But then bila I tanya, what do you mean by volume, velocity, and variety? They'll be like, data here, data there, like data everywhere. So those are the understandings from the quantity surveying profession about big data. Only less than 1% of the people currently in the industry understand big data through data maximization concept. So, but really, what is big data? The most common way of understanding big data is through the data characteristics itself. This is the most famous lah. So basically, it's volume, velocity, and variety. Volume is like, you have million kinds of data, billion kinds of data, like banyak gila data. Velocity represents you can access the data in real time. Like if I put it in there now, somebody else in the other part of the world can access it right away. Variety means data that is different forms of data, like numerical data, video data, or data that is sourced from outside of your organization. So there's like different flavors of data. So the other way of understanding big data is also understanding its process. So when you talk about volume, velocity, and variety, right, you have all this kind of data, and then you put it into a platform. It should be a cloud-based or cloud-based platform that is online. You store all this data together, and the second process is actually filtering and processing this data. Kenapa kena filter and process this data? In order for you to have a quality insights, which actually you use these insights to make decision, you would have to have a quality data. So quality data means if the data represents, for instance, you want to say satu kilo of what? I don't know, 1 kilo of pasir maybe, if that's how you count it, is harga X in Selangor area. But if a data comes in and say 1 kilo pasir in Selangor area is price Y, so that data must be filtered out because it doesn't represent the true definition of 1 kilo pasir in Selangor area might be X or in average of X. So after you filter, make sure the data is very good in quality, it's clean, it's not noisy, then you use data analytics. Many people associate big data with things like machine learning, artificial intelligence, these big words. But actually those are not big data, they are part of big data. So data analytics is actually some sort of statistical measurement or statistical way of we analyze data. So it can start from the very basic level, which is you use regression, you use ANN, but it also can go to the other extreme of complexity where you use machine learning or artificial intelligence. So once you analyze this data, you will get insights. So basically, this process transform information to insights. Ni insights ni lah benda yang people around the world keen to get from big data. This is actually what they really want actually. Ni je yang dia nak. Because these insights help you see things that people can't see today. It's about predicting something in the future. So this one gives value for organization. Okay. So if you want to know the theoretical definition of big data, you can read on this box in here. So this is a specific definition of big data for the construction industry, but you can read it. Tapi the gist of it is actually having the 3V characteristics of data and applying that with big data technology for you to convert information into insights to help create value for the organization. Itu je lah the main definition of big data that you need to understand. But then that's the theoretical part of it. Tapi in terms of understanding it and how we use it into the industry is quite different. So big data gives an impression of interconnectedness. It's about interconnecting everything from the overall value chain of the construction process itself, right from the pre-contract stage and up to completion of the stage and also the project, and also using the project in the future. So it's basically connecting every single thing in this industry through processes, values, or different profession itself. Ada orang pernah terfikir tak, what's the differences between BIM and big data?
There's a question here by the students who ask the same thing that what you just thinking just now. What's the difference between data and BIM?
Okay, when I first started researching about big data, I was very confused. Don't worry, I was there at a point of life where I don't understand. Tapi sebenarnya to me, there's not yet research that being trying to understand apakah the exact differences between BIM and big data. But for me, understanding I think BIM is a tool or a technology that creates the digital data that we have now. Nama pun building information modeling, right? Modeling the information that you have from however you imagine it, from document forms into a virtual form that it can be transmitted to any kind of platform, betul tak? Tapi big data is after BIM, something that's more advanced than BIM. It's about combining all this digital data that has been created by BIM. So you have all this digital information and trying to make sense out of it, trying to understand the deeper value about benda tu and try to make better decisions, try to create value and quality management systems, for instance, from the data that's created by BIM. So the digital data can also be created by not only BIM. Sekarang kita ada a lot of technology. So a lot of people also talk about IoT, Internet of Things, right? So Internet of Things represents the gadgets like sensors yang kita pakai dekat site, and also intelligent helmets, and maybe drones. So these are tools that they use to create the digital information and disseminate this information untuk big data analyze and create value later forward. And then
Zafira, Zafira, if I may add, Prof. Asmawati, I'm so sorry if I interrupt.
By all means, yeah, because it would be nice to have some input from you as well, because you also major in this area. Please do.
That was a very interesting explanation given by Zafira on the connection between BIM and also big data. Well, when we are talking about BIM, we are actually talking about processes and improve processes from the conventional processes lah. So if you are thinking about what's the difference between BIM and big data, well, big data would be the next frontier. I mean, that would be the umbrella that's going to collect all those information that we gather from BIM, because BIM, like any other tools that we use to improve the industry, in the end, what the things that come out from it is actually the data. That is the one that is those are the things that we are looking at this to make big data, to enable big data. I'm so sorry. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that sums up, the differences between BIM and big data. So what I understand is BIM is actually the initial part, the beginning of the overall big data journey.
Yep.
So that's one thing that we understand. Bila it's interconnecting everything in the construction processes, construction value chain, it is bound to be an integrated technology. So big data is actually, it has to be one, but it cannot stand alone. When I say it cannot stand alone, it means like, okay, usually when you access big data from our end as a user of big data, we access big data through software lah kan. For instance, macam estimating software, kita ada Glodon, Cossack, Cubic, and things like that. We also have pre-qualification, project management, and data reporting forms of softwares that are using big data. But that is only what we see. But then that is not ultimately big data. Big data is when you have all those 3V data characteristics. Sebenarnya ada sampai 7V, but then that one is very complex. But the dominant one, people are talking about 3V lah. So when you have the 3V and then you process the 3V data through the processes that I mentioned before, and then you integrate this process using big data technology. So down here are some of the big data technology that are currently being using in the construction industry market. So when you have these things to work together, and then only you can have big data, which is sourced into a form of software which people can then use. So it is one because it has to be interrelated of all these things here, tapi it cannot stand alone. Kalau you tak ada this technology tapi you ada the data and the process, it's not big data. Vice versa pun tak boleh lah kan. So I was because of the integratedness and combining every single thing dekat dalam value chain of the process, it's streamlining the construction processes. So these are some of the pre-contract and post-contract potential of big data for the quantity surveying profession lah kan. So basically, if you focus on cost control, estimating, planning and stuff like that, big data stands as a technology that actually helps us to see the future, to predict the future in a very, very calculated manner. So basically, you guys pernah dengar tak this word kalau orang buat cost planning, orang buat basically cost plan lah. At the very early stage of the project, ramai orang bila kita letak percentage, the markup percentages, usually those are being done by the high level people with experience in high level dekat dalam organisation lah, like our bosses. So the reason why only bosses do this, very rarely that you find newcomers like me do things like that in a consultant firm, for instance, because kita tak ada experience. So therefore we can't gauge how much is the risk, how much is the severity, how will the price fluctuate and stuff like that. But the other thing, if you ask them, how do you come up with maybe an increase of 10%? Kalau kita tanya, most of them will be like, yeah, it's just through our experiences. So I would call it guesstimates, something that you just guess. And this thing is very, very, very bahaya because it's not supported by data and it's not a calculated decision. So with big data, this technology allow us to access information today and also do calculated prediction using statistics in order for you to predict the scenarios in the future. And then with that knowledge, you can make the decision today. It's basically improving the accuracy of the cost estimates basically. So if we talk about the construction punya processes, many of us usually kita talk about the rebound plan of work. There are 7 stages of rebound plan of work. Tapi you pernah fikir tak kenapa every time kita Google rebound plan of work ni, it will be in a straight line or it will be in like a incline punya arrangement, macam staircase macam tu. What I think is that because the rebound plan of work exists in saying that if you want to jump into the next phase, say macam from phase 1 to phase 2, you have to complete the prior before you can, go to the next stage. You cannot just jump from 1 to 4. But because big data is such amazing technology and a concept that, integrate everything, bila you dah integrate everything and you streamline to all the construction process yang you buat, it's allowing you to move about this rebound plan of work punya stages. So in future, this might be that it will not be in straight line anymore. It would be in a round shape because it's very fluid. You can go stand, boleh ke depan. So it's up to you. So it's giving you the power to actually move faster than what you can do using the technology. So basically macam I would imagine that big data for quantity survey is macam genie lah. It's sort of a genie trying to tell you hello. For the future it should be something like this. So now you make the decision apa benda yang could improve, your cost plans, your contractual strategy, and things like that. And then, so these are some of the examples of big data opportunity for the QS profession. Cost control, contractor strategy, tender evaluation, pre-qualification and contractor selection. So I was informed that hari ni kita nak focus more into cost control and cost estimation. Okay. You guys familiar tak dengan gambar ni? Or maybe tak muat, tak nampak sangat. Okay, this one. Can you tell me what kind of software is this? Anyone?
Trimble.
Nope. Good guess, by the way. If you nak tengok some clues, you can look at this this icon over here. So basically, this is Glodon Cubicos TBQ.
Saja je yang bagi jawapan salah.
It's okay, no problem. Glodon Cubicos TBQ, for me, is a form of big data software. Kenapa dia big data software? If you tengok here, one of the TBQ punya feature is actually resource library. So resource library adalah the one that you collect all the data that I mentioned before, the 3V characteristics of data, and store that into a virtual platform. So once you have that stored, you can actually, masukkan related rate codes, and then terus access berapa harga, stiffener column or circular column, whatever that you want. And then they will automatically calculate what is the cost of the thing for you. But pada I, kalau kita put it in a spectrum from 0 to 10, for me, this is maybe level 2. Because the reason being is, when you talk about volume, velocity and variety, dia ada velocity sebab you boleh directly get the data in real time. You click je, you terus dapat. In terms of volume, okay lah. There's a lot of all the data in your organization would be simpan dalam the resource library. Tapi in terms of variety, I can query that whatever that you store in those library are all internal data. Data that are used within your organization itself. We don't share data across or intra-organizations, or kita tak ambil data daripada statistic department or environmental department, weather department ke, stuff like that. So in that sense, for me, it's a beginning of big data. But I just had a meeting with a Glodon representative 2 days ago, and if you pergi dekat TBQ, I'm sure the students in UiTM boleh access Cubicos. You ada this feature now, pricing analysis. So you can click the icon pricing analysis, and you can actually dapat the graph on berapa harga of that specific that specific thing lah. Let's say rebar ke or cement ke, whatever it is. Tapi right now, what we have in TBQ is just pricing that you collect within your organization lah kan, because as I mentioned, the data that is feeded into the Cubicos software is just whatever that you have in your organization. But I was made aware by a good colleague of mine dekat BCISM, is it? Building Cost Information Library, yang dekat RISM dekat bawah tu. So they have the total collection of data industry-wide lah. Every month what they do is they collect all the data of pricing data of materials in the construction industry, and they will calculate the average of the prices. And these average prices usually are being published. Right now it's being published free through my N3C punya website by CIDB. But soon, I guess in the end of 2020, it would no longer be free. Because of soon what Glodon will do is Glodon is going to partner up with BCISM, and then BCISM is going to load their data into Glodon platform, and dia akan ada satu button baru dekat sini, which I don't know what the button will be called. That's private. So what you will have is actually data daripada BCISM akan create another graph dekat sini, telling you what is the average industry price of that specific material. So you boleh compare you punya organisation punya price of that specific material, dia punya fluctuation dia macam mana, and then compare that with the industry. So you can get like a very good basis. Sebab sometimes the scale of the project, the complexity, the variation of project akan membuatkan harga tu vary too far. And then bila too far, that is what we call you have to clean the data because sometimes data doesn't represent what it's supposed to represent kan. So bila kita ada data yang di source daripada BCISM, you can actually gauge, oh kenapa dia tinggi sangat? Sebab average price dekat industry is not that high. So then you can query your decisions and from there you boleh spot, oh okay tak I punya estimate macam ni, kenapa pelik ke, tak pelik ke, bagus ke, things like that. And it's actually telling you how you can compete your price competitively jugalah kalau it's being accessed by contractors. So because of now and by end of 2020 kita will ada that feature. So I rasa Golden soon would still move forward lah daripada stage 2. I rasa dia akan move maybe stage 4. I don't know. But for me, I don't know. This is PCE Primo software, which is an internal software that is being used by the JKR Malaysia. So basically, this is some sort of similar software lah dengan Cubicos, tapi dia tak boleh measure macam kita measure dekat Cubicos. Like Cubicos, you can measure and then extract and then masuk dalam BQ and then extract it and dah siap tanda dokumen you. But with PCE Primo, their main goal is basically nak keluarkan cost plans, cost estimate yang bukan very accurate lah, highly accurate. So I am very impressed by this software, and I think that kalau dia dekat dalam spectrum yang I mentioned tadi, dia should be somewhere more than 5. The reason being is because every time kita do cost estimating, cost plan, we don't only look at prices because when you do cost plan, the main role as a QS, you wanna be able to quantify risk. You want to be able to see what kind of things that will happen in the future and try to mitigate it now, not just pricing. If you look at dekat sini, rates of PCE Primo variables, they have pasaran buruh, meaning the availability of work power in the industry right now. Is it surplus ke, shortage ke macam sekarang due to the coronavirus pandemic? I would foresee that the pasaran buruh is shortage lah kan, because ramai orang the foreign worker and also the local worker are being laid off. So that would create a risk for us in terms of pricing juga. If you tengok dekat sini jenis perolehan, how do you tender out the project, will it be open tender ataupun direct negotiation? Those things actually affects your cost plans, berapa harga yang you predict for that project lah kan. Macam dekat sini dia ada lokasi tapak, meaning prices of project in Selangor obviously takkan sama dengan prices of project if in Sabah dengan Sarawak because of the transportation and things like that. Kesukaran tapak meaning the accessibility of the tapak. If the tapak is hardly being accessed, it will incur more cost because there's only a certain time where you can load and unload things and things like that. So these are the variables that you can actually quantify now, walaupun project tu hanya akan kick off maybe next year. Because these are the things that, when we talk about machine learning, when we talk about artificial intelligence, this is the thing. These are things yang kita quantify the risk, the probability, and then kita foresee in future, increase dia berapa based on the data and the trends that we have now. So yang ni lah sebenarnya the important part of big data for cost plans for me lah kan. So yang ni yang boleh yang stand as the genie to tell you hari ni you nak letak berapa persen cost incurred, berapa persen risk yang you can access. These are the important things. With big data you can see all that today. These are some other examples of big data application, tapi yang ni is on the during the construction period, where you can, macam sekarang, one of the problems that we have is that we cannot do payment, valuation of payment at site because we cannot go, kita kena work from home kan, we cannot go to the site unless ada kebenaran or very important. So one of the things masa the first MCO, the QSs were telling me that they cannot do site evaluation, so payment are being stuck right now. Tapi if we have big data, and if you have IoT, macam you have drones, you have sensors, you can actually still do site valuation because all this data will be uploaded into the platform. All the data captured by the drones, by the sensors can be uploaded into the platform, and then you boleh retrieve that data from home and then do site valuation by just macam tengok movie macam tu lah. and also it will transform on how kita produce our progress report. Dulu progress report kita tebal, most of it are numbers and words, which is very boring. For me, like, I find it very dry and boring. I really hate that. But then with big data technology, it's allowing you to actually do these kind of things, macam how many percentage that we have completed, these visualization of big data that help you tengok je, oh, kita dah tahu. And then terus bagi kita more time to actually think about what kind of decisions that we will make instead of spending time to find the data and understand the data. And then, okay, this is one of the amazing things that I like about big data. I think big data is boundaryless. It's endless and boundaryless. My area of interest is actually big data, and the other one is construction business. So when we talk about big data, it's actually helping quantity surveyors to revolutionize new business model. So macam ni, my entry C sama juga macam tadi I mentioned BCISM. So previously kan, all the cost data that you can access through my entry C is free. But because data is very, very valuable for us, for quantity surveyors and all the professions in the construction industry, if tak, kenapa semua orang memang sangat-sangat kedekut nak share data kan? Because it's so powerful, it gives you a competitive edge. Kalau orang tahu price you, tak adalah that hinge in the market that you can play kan? Tapi the part where, because data is very, very, very valuable, that if you can access the data, you are the king of the world. So basically right now what BCISM is doing is that they are doing a subscription plan with Golden 290. So if you want to use that feature, you have to pay subscription plan to BCISM. So that is creating a new business model from the original business model lah, macam CIDB or RSM is regulating the industry. Tapi after that, bila kita ada all this data, you can create another channel of revenue to actually sell this data and improve your businesses. One of the other way you can expand is through yang ni lah, Polis Bantuan Malaysia from YTL. This one I would not want to share it with you in detail today, but nanti I would upload this in a YouTube channel and you guys boleh tengok daripada situ. Because I say tadi, the big data technology is integrated and seamlessly streamlining everything in the construction processes. So it's basically macam bringing us more closer to our partners lah, macam the construction team. So now you are much more, how do I say it? You are much more valuable because you can actually understand how the architects design and give your input in terms of cost. Kalau design macam ni, what would be the cost incurred? Tak payah nak go back to your office selalunya lah. I don't know other people, but me, when I was working, I would like shamefully say, I'm sorry boss, like, we'll get back to you next week. We don't want that. Because now it's like 2020, man. Everything that you want to access, you just can access it from your phone and you can just click it. Tapi kalau macam in terms of our job, takkanlah kita nak kata, I'll come back to you next week, But with big data technology, you can actually understand the cost implication by then and then using the softwares and technology lah. So basically, it's creating more value for you. So that means your presence among the project team members akan lebih lebih, how do we say it, more valuable for everybody. So that's good for our profession. So now it's about building the big data resilience. In here, we'll talk about some of the issues in terms of big data application in the quantity surveying profession. So this is the overall big data framework, which was the outcome of my research, of my 3 years research. So it actually represents what it means or what it will be like if you have big data in our profession. So basically there's three main, how do I say, segments of progression from infancy to maturity in terms of when we have big data in the quantity surveying profession. Mula-mula, it's about creating big data. And I guess this is what we're doing now. We are on the right track. From BIM, people are pushing IoT, people are pushing, GLODEN, people are pushing, CIDB is a great champion in this area. What they're doing is like they are creating all this digital data online so that we can have data accessibility from the online sources. So that in that area, the main how do I say, advantage that we can get as a QS profession is it's optimizing data access. You can optimize Okay, you can optimize data access, you can access data from any part of the world bila-bila masa je. Tak semestinya you nak buat cost estimating, you tak semestinya you kena ada dekat office and refer to previous projects and stuff like that. You can just click it and you have it. National Cost Data Establishment is something like what my interest is doing. JKR is also doing it, schedule of rates. So it's basically giving a industry representation of data in a virtual form. Once you have all these things, in this period also they are creating the big data softwares. The second part, when you already have the software, the technology is a bit mature. And now it's part of the industry itself to use the software. Macam kita, macam kita as a QS in the consultant or in the contractor or in the client side can use big data software to actually make decision making in terms of cost control, project management, development management. The beauty about this thing in this stage is it creates work synchronization. Sebab what we're experiencing right now is that yes, kita ada technology. Many of our data is already in digital form. Tapi masa MCO hari tu, one of the thing that really catches my eye is that I see my friends, what they do is they upload in their Instagram and they would like upload these videos of like carrying their desktop home, you know, their office desktop home, which is very funny. Macam pada I find it like very funny lah kan. And then the reason why, because I check out, you already have all this data in digital form. Kenapa you kena, why would you have to, you know, take your PC and bring it home when I know that person, most of them ada laptop kat rumah, bukan sebab dia tak ada laptop. The reason being is because memang we have our data in a digital form, but the problem is that kita tak ada interconnectedness tu. So it creates if you're doing if you're delivering service, macam you buat cost estimating ke, LCC ke, VE ke, things like that, there is a duplication in terms of you buat, I pun buat. Sometimes you buat tapi cost data you lain, cost data I lain, sebab semua benda tak integrate, and this creates time delay tau in terms of you delivering the services. So when you do big data, everything is synchronized. Yang the most updated version kan, sometimes the file final 1, final 2, final 3, very final. You know, it's very funny on how these people save their file. Tapi if you do it on a big data software, benda-benda ni semua tak ada very final. It's just, you know, cost plan for what project. You know, those kind of things. So when organizations are, you know, using big data on delivering their services and doing their daily tasks, that's when we are empowered by big data. So then we grow to the maturity stage. Dekat sini, organization akan learn to how they can make use of their capability right now in terms of delivering new kinds of services ataupun delivering more value for their customers. Contohnya macam tadi, data commercialization lah. For instance, kalau there's this consultant, let's say consultant A, have been using big data, maybe what they can do is, because they have all this good data, maybe they can publish the data and create new revenue. Then, you know, this is data commercialization. Diversifying professional services means, let's say now our industry data is my entry C or GKR schedule of rates, for instance, or BCISM. Tapi what if other countries in the UK, Hong Kong, let's say Philippines, Manila and stuff like that, these countries ada juga industry data that we can access. So which means that not only RKDs can have headquarters in every countries. It means that organization, even small consultant, kalau you pakai big data and you're able to access data in other country, you pun boleh buat project and procure project in that country, because the reason why organization tak do internationalization, because you're not familiar of, you know, how do you build project in that area, what is the prices in that area. But when you have this data, then it's easy for us because the principle and the processes are the same kan. So basically you then have the capability to take on projects in other countries. So it's diversifying our professional services. On top of that, kita pun boleh buat new policy lah in terms of macam mana kita nak manage data privacy and things like that. So, okay, these are, I think, one of the things that you guys are interested to know is about what are the issues in terms of developing big data for the quantity surveying profession and also using big data for the industry. At first, satu data sourcing right now, this is one of the major thing that that the industry is pushing right now is sourcing digital data. Because previously macam memang all our data is in printed form, so that limits lah. So when you have data sourcing digital, then only the first main thing you can digitalize the data, then only you can start with big data. The second part is data quality. Data quality right now, I can say that it's good, but it's not the best. Sebab through my experiences with BCISM, when we go through the tenders yang diorang bagi kat kita untuk kita come up with the average prices, the quality is very poor because sometimes it's very hard for us to track, betul ke ni price untuk this specific material, because sometimes they just put lump sum. Sometimes they just tulis dekat the page tu, kat bawah je total, dekat the quantity and prices column tak ada harga. So sometimes these people just tulis je, and what is worse, there are some consultant firms that do not use SMM macam mana dia nak measure and price the BQ. So bila you tak strictly adhere to those guidelines on how you measure the project, that is creating tempering the quality of the data. And the other part is data privacy lah. This is I think that everybody know. To move forward with big data, the one thing that's very hard to overcome is data privacy, sebab semua orang hop through their data and not letting it go. The second part is right now is big data understanding. Like I mentioned to you just now, the big data understanding among us, quantity surveyors, are at the infancy stage. So we have to improve big data understanding, what it can do, what it cannot do, giving a very good idea of what big data is. Satu lagi, skills in terms of nak create the system pun kita tak ada skills. Right now, kita invite people from the computer science domain, statistical domain, data scientists, and people who have experience with big data to help us build the system. Kita tak ada seorang data scientist that is specific niche in quantity surveying to actually know everything from A to Z on how you can buat software tu. Kita tak ada lagi as for now. I am very far away from that. So yeah, we have to improve our skills, meaning that today QSS bukan je, it's about knowing how to create tenders, it's about knowing how to create BQ, it's about knowing how to manage payment and things like that. You have to expose yourself to the financial part of the profession. You have to expose yourself to the technology part of the profession so that you can address this skill shortage one day, inshallah. So in terms of power, there is power boundary. Power boundary ni is very much related to data privacy. Macam tadi, from what I've been told, from my discussions with CIDB, how BCISM gets the industry data is one of the ways. They source industry data is making it compulsory for contractors to actually send the full tender punya information dekat BCISM. Then only they can bayar the construction levy and start work. Kalau tak, diorang tak boleh macam tu. But the problem is that macam yes, kita dapat data tu. Tapi one of the problem memang yang kita face is that the data tak ada quality. Because they just submit it because they have to. They don't understand why they need to submit benda tu. What is the importance of submitting that thing? So they just submit and then kita dapat data yang tak quality, and so it is very hard for us to actually move forward in a very high speed manner lah kan. So in terms of macam ni, power boundary susah, because the only way that CIDB can access this standard document is through contractors, because they can control contractors. Macam kita, CIDB tak boleh control consultants. So it's very hard. So it's about understanding what is the power boundary within the profession and how it sits within the construction industry itself, and utilize that power so that we can address the needs for the big data technology. And then technology, one of the things yang kita face is limited flexibility. Flexibility means the software itself or the technology itself cannot communicate with one another. For instance, let's say cubicles itself, Golden. Kita tak boleh simply drag whatever we have in Golden and put it in other software macam CosX. Tak boleh. sebab all the data, file format, dia punya format tu different. So it creates a limitation. Sometimes even with BIM punya software itself, tak semua macam Bentley, everything tu boleh drag here and there ikut sesuka hati you. Tak boleh. So there is limited flexibility because big data, dia punya concern, the idea is interconnectedness. So everybody is able to, say hi to each other, to work with each other. Tapi because of this problem, limited flexibility. One of the flexibility that we have discovered so far is the IFC format, the file format. So, tapi IFC ni problem dia is the quality of when you transfer from one software to another software, sometimes the quality is bad. So it's quite hard. Tapi if you can improve, like semua technology boleh together, then it's good. In terms of financial investment, right now, okay, because the government is empowering the investment. And third is limited collaboration. Problem is right now, there is limited collaboration within the people, the skills that we need to do big data, and also within the industry dengan the users of the big data, macam the firm and also the regulators. There is limited collaboration. If we can collaborate together, then we can push this technology forward. So right now, in the reality is big data will substitute the need for 60% all the jobs today. I get a lot of impression from people in saying that why do we need to do a lot of things macam quantity surveyors buat costing saja. Tapi sometimes quantity surveyors perlu ke buat macam green costing, things like that, because we have other specialists buat benda-benda macam tu. Tapi if we are stick to what we're doing right now, so if you stick to what we're doing right now, that means that our existence in the future akan lebih limited lah. Tapi if you, macam for instance, kita buat measurement itself. Dulu kita being proud of our profession that kita are the only profession who can do measurement, But because of the technology today, kita ada COSAS, kita ada QA cost and many other softwares. Measurement can be done so easily. Macam kalau you tahu, it's like playing a game. So if that is simply being substituted easily right now, it's not impossible in the future that what are the things that we're doing now can be done by other professions. Contohnya macam accountants, what they do is literally similar to what we do, but because kita ni specialize in the construction industry, tapi it's not impossible for them to learn the technicalities and for them to actually do what we do today. So that's the reason why I think that quantity surveyors have to expand and see the profession from a different angle and create more services so that we won't be replaced in the future. So I think that's it from me today. Let's see. Wait. So it's 12 o'clock. Is there like anything that you would like to ask and something macam tu? If I can address any of your confusions.
Okay. There are questions in the chat box. But before we go on to the questions in the chat box, can we have question from the floor first? Anybody would like to start? The rest of you, please off the mic first and let the one who want to speak open the mic. Okay, appreciate that too.
Hi, Doctor. I would like to ask actually about data privacy that you talked before this. So as we know, data ni dia berkait dengan teknologi and software, right? So and most of our information akan di-record dekat data tersebut. Then my question is it really safe to use this big data in right now, and is there any ways that yang maybe parties guna sekarang untuk nak prevent the data tu from leaking or being exposed to others? That's all my question. Thank you, Doctor.
Dr. Zafira, mic on.
Sorry. All right. Thank you, Nurul Afika. To address your concern on data privacy, okay, right now I acknowledge that data privacy in terms of using big data technology as for today isn't an area that being explored. You know, there is no black and white about how you treat the data, how data moves from organization safe ke tak safe. Macam benda tu is still unclear because it's very new. Perhaps you can address that in future. I hope so you can. Tapi as for now, macam I cakap tadi, kalau you guna Cubicos TBQ tu kan, the data that you host dekat dalam software tu, so sebenarnya kalau you nak faham, benda ni macam complicated sikit lah. Okay, kalau organisation tu pakai big data, okay, semua QS yang dia ada dekat dalam organisation tu boleh access through their own PCs. Tapi sebenarnya dekat dalam organisation tu dia mesti ada satu server. This is the server. So basically every information yang ada dekat komputer A, B, C, D, E, F, wherever, siapa-siapalah in the organisation akan di-store in this server. And in this server, there is nobody. I pernah tengok the agreement between Glodon and the people yang purchase Glodon. As for now, tak ada orang yang boleh access those data kecuali dengan kebenaran klien. So meaning whatever that is being protected, whatever that is being stored in that platform can only be being accessed among the organisation itself lah, sebab the client mesti bagi dekat organisation je kan, not even Glodon. Kalau Glodon nak access, Glodon kena minta permission daripada dia punya owner lah. So as for now, macam teknologi tu in terms of safety, macam theft kan, cyber, curi data, ataupun macam kadang-kadang orang banyak cakap pasal duit dalam CIMB tiba-tiba tak ada sebab there is a problem of security kan. So I know that is what you mentioned bila you kata data privacy, macam orang ambil data kita. Tapi as for now, Alhamdulillah lah, there is not I tak tahu about other software besides Glodon, Cubicos dengan CosX. But I'm sure these two providers tak pernah lagi ada security breach as for now, because they are actively trying to attack their own software punya security every day. That's what they do. So itulah. Tapi in terms of macam mana kita nak trade data privacy daripada satu organisation ke organisation lain, that one kita belum address lagi.
Thank you very much. Ada soalan dalam chat, perhaps Dr. Samsul Hadi boleh go through the chat, and while he did that and understand, perhaps you can contribute to some of the answer. I'd like the floor to answer the questions to Dr. Zafira, and you can speak in Malay by the way. Boleh bercakap dalam apa juga bahasa. I'm sure she can attend.
Prof. Asmawati, to add on to what Zafira just said just now, if you still remember when we were in Shanghai, there was this one presentation by Glodon. So I was surprised at that time that they were presenting on their other business, which is data analytics. If you still remember that session. Well, from that point on, I was in talk with Zafira at that time. So I was so surprised, and then I told Zafira that this is actually what Glodon do. I mean, their software, the way we operate the software is a server license, meaning whatever you are doing, it connects directly to their server, and there is nothing that can stop them to harness all the data that we put in the server.
In fact, if I may share with you what happened in UK when I was there. In fact, nowadays there is a tendency by all the people in the industry, regardless of what industry they are, especially in the business and also in the other sectors, they will let all the, for example, students at university to submit the lecture note of their lecture free. They will do the binding and everything and then send it in a very nice copy, but they will have the right to all the notes nowadays. So these days, you can see that data flow to a certain person, it will be one data. But imagine if you are a business entity and you receive various flow from various directions, they said knowledge is power. Yeah, data is power. So imagine how they can actually accumulate those particular data bank to their own users. So as far as privacy is concerned, I don't really what do you call it uh, of a privacy at the moment, but I leave it to the presenter to comment. By the way, the questions that being put in the chat room now, Safira, if you can have a look at the chat. Yeah, this is from Nur Hidayah. Yeah, she said that what concept should be central to big data regulation? Does it important to revolutionizing big data in QS profession? Data value in QS profession? Are the big data help professional in improving the quality of work and productivity? What are the capability needed in the QS professions to handle a large amount of data from various format and sources? I would like to join this question together with another questions that I received from another students. He said that do we need to measure into data analytic if we want to fully grasp big data potential in QS profession? So I let that questions to the floor first.
Okay, I would like to address the last question yang Prof. Hasmawati has mentioned. Kita kena tahu ke the area of data analytics for us to be good in this area? For me, okay. Kalau you baca through the big data, whatever that you can find internet, most of them akan cakap pasal data scientist. Data scientist, and then dia orang cakap pasal data analytics, apa yang lagi? I lupa. Tapi tu kan the most important things lah. Data scientist ni kerja dia, basically kalau kita SQS nak move forward with big data, I would suggest kita punya main capability is actually to do data scientist, because that is what we do. Data scientist ni kerja dia kena understand what are the data that we need and what are the process that we need in order for you to achieve one thing that you want. Say kalau you nak increase sales or you want to increase your accuracy in your tender estimates, what do you need? You need good data. Let's say you nak increase your accuracy in cost estimates untuk project theme park. Kan, dia tak akan sama untuk macam mana you measure jalan ataupun building biasa. Kita as technical expertise, kita tahu apa item yang kena ada, apa proses yang kita kena buat, what kind of technology yang kita kena buat, yang perlu ada in order for you to create a theme park project. So that is the job of the data scientist. Dia kena detect ni data ni, proses ni would lead to this information and also this kind of decision. Data analytics tu kalau you ada is bonus. It's because you will know, you will then do not have to depend to someone else to actually do the calculation. Because statistics, data analytics, dia punya root dia punya base dia is statistics. This is very, very complicated lah. Macam, I pun tak faham sangat lah. Tapi, if you can grab that knowledge, it will be very good for you, because then you can just try and error. Sebab kadang-kadang kita ada data, tapi kita tak boleh buat probability of that data. So tak ada function dia, kita kena depend kat orang lain. And then the problem with big data yang kita ada tadi tu, macam limited collaboration tu, our main problem is we don't understand or we don't speak the language of technology from the people in the computer science punya domain. You know, they talk about Python. Kita talk about kalau kita talk about BIM mungkin some form of language in Python, things like that. Tapi bila kita nak make decision, kita nak guna benda tu ke tak tu susah, sebab kita tak faham benda tu, dia pun tak faham apa yang kita nak. So kalau kita boleh faham dia punya area of domain, easy lah untuk kita create the product macam tu. In terms of the other capability yang I would suggest for you to learn is also coding sebenarnya. In fact, coding is much more valuable as compared to data analytics. Sebab if you know basics of coding, macam you tahu language C++, R and things like that, data analytics would be easier for you to learn. Things like that lah. Okay, and to address the question from Nur Hidayah, what concept should be central to data regulation? I think it's data privacy for sure. The only way that kita boleh move forward dengan cepat is to regulate lah macam mana kita nak disseminate data, macam mana kita boleh share data. Share data tapi still protecting the interest of the parties. Meaning kita still will protect the interest of the client, kita boleh still protect the interest of the consultants and also the contractor, because everyone in the project team, kita nak buat the same project. Cuma from the angle that we do our decision is different. Macam contractor, of course dia nak paling banyak untung sebab tu dia buat dia punya business. Macam kita, profession, kita nak deliver the best quality that we can because kita adhere to the professional kita kan, macam kita kena bagi cost savings pada kita punya client, what's the best. So there's many decision yang kita sebenarnya tak sama, kita sama goal tapi kita from different perspective and that perspective is not the same and therefore benda tu macam akan jadi conflict of interest lah. So kita kena ada data policy untuk macam mana nak regulate benda tu.
I would like to go to the second question. It sounds very highly intellectual for me. All right, this is from Ashraf, and it talks about algorithm. I mean, this is of interest to me as well. Just the other day, my son was asking me, is it fantastic that Facebook could remember exactly 4 years ago what happened to you, and for every single one of us keep uploading what happened to us 4 years ago to every single one. That means the skills in algorithm and everything is fantastic there. But this is also about algorithm. I try to digest. Perhaps you can look at it as well. I think it has to do with the algorithms in the big data are usually based on our historical choices or keywords in formulating the outcome and recommendation. So indirectly, when we make outcomes and recommendations, are normally one-sided and are biased towards our historical choices. So therefore, the decision we might incline to a certain perspective only. So what's your take on this matter?
I agree. Bila you cakap, the algorithms will read based on our preferences or what are the things that we do in the past. So sometimes tapi, benda tu macam bias lah kan. Sebab tak semestinya I buat benda tu, everybody else in this world would do the same thing, correct? So that is the one kalau kita balik tadi masa I cakap pasal the basics of big data ya, the processes when you first integrate all the data in the platform and then second you do data filtration. So data filtration ni is function yang akan detect where is bias ke tak bias. Macam tadi I bagi example, kalau harga this material in that area should be X. So whatever data that masuk dekat dalam sistem tu mesti an average of X kalau represent material at that area. Sebab kalau dia tak represent, it means it's biased. It's not clean data. So it has to be filtrated. So that is why I cakap, as for now, I tak, in terms of big organizations, if you say macam Google or macam Facebook, yes, I would say that sometimes diorang punya algorithm are biased. Sebab kalau algorithm dia tak bias, then the algorithm mesti able to actually macam mana kalau dia bagi quizzes ke apa kan, it should reflect apa yang betul-betul you nak. Kalau dia dapat jawab apa yang betul-betul in your mind, that means the algorithm is very perfect. If it's not, it's still biased. Tapi yes, that's why data scientists and data analytics people sekarang memang learn a lot about machine learning and artificial intelligence to remove all this biasness, to automatically delete all this bad data so that kita boleh remove lah problem yang the inclination kepada benda yang tidak sepatutnya.
Okay, there's a lot of things coming in my WhatsApp now. It's trending now. Okay, we love the presentation. We have learned a lot so far. Okay, Yani, yes, I do agree with Dr. Zafira. Nowadays, data analyst and data scientist is booming. For example, telco industry. So many people already said that they love your presentation so far. And then there's one question from one Anissa Farzana. May I know, does the big data will only apply to the working people or benefit to the students too on assessing data, because most of the data are premium and specified to a certain organization?
Bunda, ni tahun berapa student ni? Bunda?
Tak faham dia tanya apa. Wan Anissa ada, boleh clarify tak? Macam bombastic sangat word dia.
Anissa, the questions today appear to be bombastic. Even I myself was trying hard to understand. However, I like one, Anissa, if you are here, do you mind to take over the mic?
Prof, boleh dengar saya ke?
Boleh.
Tahun berapa student ni? Soalan, the questions are very matured tau. It's very highly intellectual.
Okay, she's having problem with the mic.
Okay.
Ke you nak tulis soalan tu bahasa Melayu ke senang sikit nak faham? Sorry. Sebab I macam terlalu high level. I pun macam confused sama benda.
But the performance of the system does not decline and stay within the budget. Again, this is another hypothetical questions.
Highly intellectual ni.
Takutnya.
I just summarize that. I think what he meant was data we are still having a strict budget. Alright. I suppose dia kata how to solve the problem of growth of the data, and we want to remain within the budget. Maknanya, everybody doesn't want to invest with the data as the data grow bigger. I presume so. I don't really know who. This is from Amirul Hakim Zulkifli. So Amirul Hakim, there, make yourself present.
Siapakah tuan punya badan Amirul Hakim?
There.
Personally, I'm impressed with the question asked by the student lah. Highly intellectual.
Yes,
Amirul. Would you like to
Yes,
tell us
he
more
said
further?
dia cakap yes, he's here. Take over the stage.
Oh, Amirul tak ada dah. Amirul.
Hari tu Bonda kena remind all the students to fill in the attendance form. Okay, please fill in the attendance form in the link given. Oh, Muhammad Amirul pun ada problem with mic. So unfortunately to speculate that type of question.
Kalau understanding what Bonda has said, macam how do we grow data, and data are growing every day. Cuma the problem is now that macam mana kita nak make data ni accessibility. Sebab can be accessed to other people, and how do we manage the growth of the data. I believe the managing the growth of the data will not be hard. Sebab Google has done it, Facebook has done it, and I think the capability of the cloud server is unlimited, is limitless. So kalau data you grow banyak macam mana pun. So basically in organisation kadang-kadang diorang macam PCE Primo ya, diorang prefer diorang punya data tu sebenarnya host in physical form. Macam dia ada satu big server in the CIDB building where whatever data yang dia host tu memang host dalam server and locked in the server. Macam Glodon pula for example, dia punya server dia is the cloud. So basically lagi besar lah kan. So basically kalau you dah aware macam your big data system tu macam very heavy, is very slow, that might be one of the what do we call it, macam satu tanda that you need to move to cloud server. And when you move to cloud server, I don't think so that will be any problem. Kalau your data grow besar macam mana pun, it will be fine. In terms of creating macam mana kita nak access semua data, macam Bonda cakap tadi, if you give data you can access data and things like that, I think that would be very noble idea. Sebab sometimes I always think tau, macam kenapa kita ni kan unquestionably hari-hari macam a lot of people use Facebook, they update their status, macam people like us, macam the younger generation, we do TikToks, we do Instagram. I love doing Insta stories hari-hari yang rasa macam nak buat kan. Kita voluntarily create the data for the people tau. Tapi when it comes to the construction industry, kita the same person, tapi kita tak pula rasa nak buat macam tu, nak derma data kita kat orang lain, nak share data kita kat orang lain kan. I selalu fikir like kenapa kan these people, sometimes we are very open and very happy to share everything about us to other people so that we can connect with people, but when it comes to our job, kita fikir dua kali, kenapa kita nak kena be open to that person, kenapa kita nak share dengan that person. So I think that going forward benda ni would be improved. Sebabnya from what we've this is one of the studies that I do when I was doing my MBA. What we're doing now, if we see macam mana people share data, macam mana orang share data mengikut diorang punya umur, cluster umur. Kita selalu macam panggil baby boomers, kita panggil the millennials, generation XYZ, whatever it is. So there is a correlation, macam baby boomers, diorang macam sangat cautious about this security. Even my father, he tak pakai internet online. He would go to the bank still and do his transaction, which I don't understand why. Macam kalau I takkan nak pergi bank selagi mana I boleh buat benda tu online. So there's a different way of we do things. Tapi if kita boleh spread all this good awareness about big data and to tell people that it's okay to share data, as long as we have the boundaries of sharing data lah kan, and protecting people's interests, I think that the new generation will be more open to share data, and in future, once they take up the profession, they would be the one who is going to change the industry.
I like that. I like that very much. Okay, can I ask a next question, please, from the listening?
I would like to ask one question to Dr. Zafira. Hi, I'm Anis, lecturer from PPUB, UITM. Okay, so my question is, how do you see the level of readiness of QS organization at this moment in adopting the big data, and if let's say it is still low readiness, so what is the major challenge for the QS to adopt that impede in the adoption of big data? Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Anis.
Sikit soalan Dr. Anis sebab ada satu soalan lebih kurang sama kat sini. From your research that you have done to date, which QS firm has been utilizing big data and in what area? Okay, itu satu. Can jawab sekali dengan Dr. Anis sebab soalan ni lebih kurang serumpun. Yang keduanya, kalau saya boleh masukkan sedikit kat sini, student kita hari ni hebat-hebat. Diorang keluarkan terminologi sampai saya sendiri pun yang dah lama dalam industri lecture sendiri pun, you know where it got us, the lecturers, we even lost in the translation. We lost in the terminologies. So it's very good for you just now, Dr. to explain a very layman's word. Tapi sekejap lagi before you end, can you just go with us slowly? Ada terminologies yang mana kita kena tahu, kita kena faham. Sebab bila kita cakap big data, benda tu akan keluar again and again and again. And ada yang buat tahu, buat perasan-perasan tahu, ada yang tak tahu, malu nak mengaku tahu. So over to you, there are a lot more questions. So kita hadkan masa sikit lah. Banyak lagi soalan ni, ramai peminat ni Dr. Zafira kita ni. Okay, over to you. And Dr. Samsul Hadi can chip in lah.
Yeah, Dr. Hadi, feel free to help me with answering this. Takutnya question-question ni semua. Sumpah I takut. Okay, berbalik kepada soalan Dr. Anis. Kita right now, big data in the construction, not to say in the quantity surveying profession itself, yeah. If we talk about the construction industry itself, it's still at the infancy stage. Although there is yet to be a research yang actually try to measure, macam tadi kan I kata ada tiga phases tu kan. Tak ada lagi research yang come up with such thing or have started to measure kita ni dekat mana. Tapi my understanding up to this level today, I think it's still at the infancy stage. In terms of ada ke organisation yang pakai big data for QS profession, in Malaysia, so far yang I tahu macam tak ada. Sebab sebenarnya big data software specifically for QSs in Malaysia belum I mean dia tengah dalam pembinaan je. We are still at the developing we're still developing the softwares. Tapi like I mentioned just now, I am very, very impressed by the work of JKR. So PCE Primo is actually, for me, I would say it's a big data software. The best big data software, example daripada Malaysia yang kita boleh ada for QS firm right now. It's been steered by Surveyor Husnan, if you know him. And I think if you see it from the angle, I think JKR themselves lah yang one of the organisation yang memang dah start pakai. Cuma implementation dia macam yang I tahu CKU, sebenarnya it's open to all because JKR kan dia ada banyak macam daerah semua tu kan. It's actually PCE Primo boleh orang, I think dekat CKUB je yang paling selalu pakai lah. Tu pun tak semua mungkin. But the system is there. So I think diorang lah yang dah start to pakai. So we hope that in future we can expand more in terms of developing the softwares. Maybe Glodon would be one of the leaders in doing it. We're still working on that. Yeah. Apa lagi soalan Dr. Adi? Saya lupa.
The challenge.
Oh, challenge. Challenge banyak. Challenge macam tadi kita dah mention banyak kali, data privacy kan. Macam ni big data would only work so well only if kita ada access to semua data yang kita nak access. Macam kenapa Google is the only company in this world yang macam sebenarnya kalau you nak tahu masa Trump punya election 4 years ago, they use big data to actually make him win the presidency race. So kenapa Google sahaja yang boleh buat those kind of things? Dia punya company, kalau you nak Google, the case study is Analytica from Cambridge. Dia punya company is anak syarikat Cambridge University. So the only reason why they can do that is because Google partners up with Facebook, and bila Google dengan Facebook kebabung kan, sebab dia orang ada semua data dalam dunia ni, any part of the world, any kind of data, because every day the first thing we do is we log in Google, and also in terms of our personal use, kita banyak share our information dekat Facebook. So in moving forward, kita nak everybody in the industry, not only QS profession, because this won't work if only QS profession or QS consultants or firms open up to themselves. Tak boleh, sebab because kita nak make a decision yang come into incorporate factors daripada engineers, daripada architects, daripada facilities managers. So it has to work within everybody in the built environment punya sector. So once that would be open, then kita boleh move forward actively lah that is one of the challenges yang I rasa paling penting lah, to make sure that kita boleh access data.
Okey, ini ada soalan daripada Najmuddin 4E. As far as I know, contractor bila dia buat pricing, the only they think is to get profit at the early stage of the construction. However, it's different with the QS consultant. QS consultant work within the interest of the client. So how can big data help both contractor and consultant? Because to reduce the gap between this particular motive, one is to safeguard the client, the other one is to gain profit.
Okay. I love this question sebab I was just thinking about this yesterday. Sebab I was reading about bidding prices, macam mana kita nak improve our probability of bidding prices, nak menang tender tu, and I was thinking about this. Macam mana kita nak make sure everybody tu in page, kan? And how does it link to big data? I'm very impressed with your question. Thank you very much. And this susah nak jawab. I think that okay, kalau kita tengok balik the basics of big data is about making known everything. Kita kena tahu data. Data is open, betul? So bila data is open, that means sekarang ni problem dia macam all those intentions, macam contractors intention, yes, dia memang nak buat, yelah dia buat bisnes kan, mestilah dia nak improve dia punya ni apa tu, untung lah kan. So tapi how do they do that? It's not clear because you know those things dia buat in the end, kita tak boleh assess benda tu, kita tak tahu. Tapi because kita ada big data, one day insyaAllah in the future everything will be clear cut. Macam, okay, kalau for example dulu there's this trend, kalau you nak beli barang dekat Instagram, you kena DM seller tu, annoying gila. Because, so bila that happen, dah lah lambat kan, diorang nak DM kita balik and beritahu the price of the product yang you nak beli tu satu. Nombor dua, mesti je ada probability that seller akan letak price lain dekat orang tu dan letak price lain dekat kita, depending on diorang punya cash flow, betul? So benda tu it's not a healthy competition. Sama dengan kita punya construction industry. It's not a healthy competition because you can cut corners anywhere you like because benda tu is not being made transparent. Tapi sekarang dengan adanya Zalora, dengan adanya Fashion Valley, prices are made clear. So the transaction between the seller and the buyer, so in our case the transaction between the client samalah kiranya dengan consultant QS kan, kita satu team. And the other party is the buyer, which is no, actually the seller is the contractor sebab dia sell services dia pada client. So client is the buyer. Client dengan consultant ni together. So that means the transaction would be so clear. Macam kat Zalora, baju ni harga dia 200. Kita tahu clear cut. So, kita boleh make decision. Okay, lepas tu dia akan beritahu material dia apa, warna dia apa, things like that kan. Benda tu semua kita boleh nampak. So kita sendiri at the other side akan fikir whether kita nak beli tak benda tu, macam mana kita nak negotiate so that we can come to a good platform yang kita faham, okay, kita agree the transaction is that much to them, this transaction that much to us, macam tu lah. So because of the data, it will make everything open and clear.
Dr. Zafira, can I interject a little bit? Since Dr. Samsul Hadi is actually making a move now, we would like to thank him for his presence, and we love this. It turned up into a forum of two great champions in big data. For a few around, and then for the students out there, Dr. Samsul Hadi left me a message. I am really impressed with the students' participation, and I'm sure the level of questions that the students ask. I mean, they are 22, 23, and we are not even there when we were at their age. Okay. Thank you, Dr. Samsul Hadi. Okay.
Thank you, Dr. Hadi.
Thanks, Prof. Congratulations, Zafira, and thanks, Dr. Anis, Dr. Ani, tadi ada saya nampak.
Dr. Suletti.
And the others lah. Dekat screen ni tak nampak semua sekali kan. And probably if we, if you want to know further, we can work together. We have Dr. Zafira. She's very helpful, very cheeky at times. But, that's the things that, That's her.
We love chickeners. We love chickeners. No worry. I think she can relate well with the students. Okay. All right. We have so many questions left. Okay. Can I just let me just very quickly summarize the question because the question is so long. All right. Ada yang kata betul. Kita boleh share something data in social apps. Why not we adopt the same kind of principle in our QS job? Okay, that means kalau kita boleh buat social apps, why not we adopt it like just what Dr. Zafira said with the what we call it, with our job as well. So Dr. Zafira clearly say just now, we hope your generation will start it, the ball rolling. At the moment, everybody takut nak share data because they might be able to win the project. They might fear to not be able to win the project. There are lots of things. Ada yang fear the demise of the QS profession. Also here because of the big data. Ada juga kat sini, I just give you some question in very general, very quickly because we are straight of time. Ada juga yang kata macam mana kita nak take action of someone who misuse the data that we share. Okay, ada juga yang tanya kat sini, I read somewhere from lecturer daripada Perak, and Tajuddin, my son Tajuddin over there. Are you still there? Tajuddin, are you there? Dia kata JUBM Archidice.
Yes, Prof. Ada.
Any question from Perak? Ada soalan daripada Perak?
Tadi tak tahulah student macam mana. Saya pun masuk lewat.
Baik, basically apa yang Tajuddin trying to share is that sekarang ni there's a good move by Archidice to publish course data every single year and hopefully it can be developed into an apps. Yeah, so Tajuddin, hopefully you can start that. Trying to look into developing an apps. Yeah, so
Kena belajar algoritma ni dengan software development.
belajar algoritma. Okay, ada satu soalan kat sini dari Muhammad Izzat. Salam doktor, my question is, will large scale search data help us create better tools, services and public goods? Or will it a new way of privacy incursion and invasive marketing? Boleh off microphone ya, Taj, tolong off microphone sekejap ya. So dia kata, salam doktor, my question is, will large scale search data help us to create better tools, better services and public good? Or it will assure a new wave of privacy inclusion and invasive marketing? I tell you, Zafira, there you are. I'm not going to involve in answering this. Over to you.
Actually memang betul Dr. Hadi cakap apa. I am very happy today sebab selama ni kalau I cakap pasal data, I cakap sorang-sorang. Macam it's very hard to get macam two-way communication macam ni lah. Like people are sharing what they think and then sebab I myself pun macam I've got not many people around me that I can share this thing specifically in QS profession. So when we have all these students asking me very intelligent questions, I feel very happy and challenged at the time. Sebab dah lama tak rasa macam whoosh, rasa macam takutnya kan. Okay, macam tadi one of the question that I remember was betul ke kalau moving forward kita ada big data, it will demise our profession? Jeng. Okay, question tu lah the main reason why I started researching on big data. Sebenarnya I started researching on big data because I am very impressed with Zara. I have this, buying, shopping habits and I sangat suka beli barang dekat Zara. And I tak faham kenapa every time masuk kedai Zara, ada je benda yang nak beli walaupun I made a promise to myself I will not buy. And then I googled it up online and I know that Zara is using big data to actually cloud my mind into buying things from Zara. Tu nombor satu. And then I was thinking macam, okay, kalau kita ada benda ni dekat dalam profession kita, habislah kita kan. Nanti macam everybody else can do what we do and then what is left for us? Betul tak? So with that impression in mind, I started my research on big data in 2017. So relating to your question, betul ke kita akan less important in this industry kalau kita ada big data? Pada benda tu is true. Tapi it's up to us whether kita nak champion benda ni ke tak. Sebab right now, in this very moment, kalau kita compare within profession, not many profession pun started on big data, specifically at profession punya stage. Because I work very closely with them, and we always have like quarterly meetings in terms of macam mana kita nak bantu the architect profession to move forward with big data. Diorang pun nak start on big data. Civil engineering, I'm very sure diorang dah start, tapi I'm not too sure sebab I tak collaborate dengan IEM. Tapi therefore benda ni lah pressuring us right now. Kita kena ada the ability to create big data and to use big data, because tadi I mentioned the interconnectedness, integratedness, streamlining the process. That's 3 words. Benda ni yang you kena fikir. Bila kita boleh tap on all these things, meanings that kita akan ada the same capability that person is able to do. So when we can do whatever that person can do, our significance akan increase. So meaning kalau kita start dulu untuk dominate this area whereby tak ramai orang dominate, kita lah yang akan create the impression yang kita boleh hold the market. Sebab tu macam Google dengan Facebook, diorang je hold the market sebab diorang yang dominate, diorang yang start dulu. Tak ada orang lain yang boleh buat macam diorang, macam tu. So kita kena start on that lah. So kalau kita dah start, that means kita punya profession takkan jadi dinosaur lah, takkanlah redundant sebab kita yang champion benda tu. For me lah, that's my perspective. And second thing, talking to RKDs and JUBM, yes, that was the first firm yang I worked with. In 2014 kot, I was with JUBM dekat Ara Damansara, and one of the things that I would say the early measures yang kita move into compiling data is benda ni lah. Sebab I tahu AKDs every year dia akan keluarkan satu buku kecil, and then dia akan ada price analysis and harga barang tu semua. That is one of dia orang start benda ni in the early 2000 pun, if I'm not mistaken. So that was the early that's the early projects lah, ataupun the early task kita as this profession moving forward towards big data. I agree with that. And then you cakap pasal privacy dengan large data. Again, I am very happy that ramai orang address the issue of privacy. And the issue of privacy ni memang sangat susah as for now, because like I mentioned, kita tak ada regulation. So even if you know, hari tu, I think last year kot, Mark Zuckerberg kena sue dengan the United States of America because diorang guna whatever data yang you all put on Facebook untuk buat the Trump campaign in 4 years ago. And then people cakap like, how dare you use our data? And then diorang dapat project daripada the presidency punya campaign, and then and in some point that you tanam this idea in our area that Trump is a good candidate, things like that lah. I'm not saying that, but those are the things that were in their mind 4 years ago.
Because there is one student, Zakio Zahri, kata kat sini, wow, it more interesting how Trump approached to win elections. So I think they can relate with what your story just now. And then I suppose they know the reason behind him winning. All right, I would like to share with you one question here from, let me just scroll through. Dia kata yes, from Azmi Ramli. Yes, QS profession must be able to improvise their skill and knowledge. Agree. Yeah, a big clap from Dr. Zafira. Yay. You must start learning new skill. Trust me, I'm a project manager more than 20 years in telco. Nowadays, my company are seeking and searching the talent that have the skill of big data analytic and scientists. So, QS profession must be able to improvise their skill and knowledge. You must start learning new skill. Trust me, these days you need to have this kind of talent. Thank you very much. Cik Azmi Ramli, are you stay here with us or are you already leaving? If you are still with us.
Yes, doctor, I'm still here. I'm actually a PhD student. My SV is Dr. Anis Saifuzal.
Oh, good, good. Yeah, Stan, thank you for joining and thank you for sharing your thoughts. These young people in the class at the moment are so excited, yeah, very excited to learn the new skill. So can you share a little bit, if you don't mind, so become a forum with Dr. Zafira, the point that I just read from your extract just now?
Okay, thank you, Dr. I'm Azmi actually, a PhD student.
Hi.
If we talk about subscribers right now, especially subscribers on telcos, yeah. What kind of their needs or what kind of their um, um, request or what we can say is about their needs to, I mean, they are required the stable data, the stable voice over the price that they are pay. I mean, to understand that all of the telcos right now is what we call it berlumba-lumba tau untuk dapatkan customers. So they are offering the chips package with the big data allocations that's required more understanding on how subscribers behave, on how customers spend their money, what kind of subscriber need right now. Because that's why they are currently seeking talents in terms of, let's say, a project manager itself. They need skill about how to manage the projects in terms of the customer itself. How we want to get the best or the best value of the projects in terms of the return itself. If we say currently on the project management itself, there is no more what we call it a waterfall methodologies. Right now they are using the agile methodology,
Yeah, agile.
meaning that we need to produce fast package for subscribers in the minimum value time, meaning that we cannot afford to produce any package that bombastic to customers, but in terms of time itself dia lambat tau nak launch, meaning that we have to move fast in order to compete with uh, uh, the other stakeholders lah, but kita nak attract the customer itself. That's why currently kalau kita tengok dengan keadaan pandemik ni, dengan ramai yang otai yang saya kata, yang ramai yang kena ni lah. I mean, they are giving the VSS and so on. So they are trying to get the employees that have not only project management skills, but they need to have another skill. Like if you see in the internal job itself, they are required. You must have the data analytics punya skills, data scientist, and then in terms of yang ramai yang pekerja yang tak upskill dia punya knowledge tu, then dia tertinggal lah. That's why I thought benda ni penting lah untuk yang new generation.
Yes, I agree with you, Encik Azmi. Sebab, yeah, I think your views memang is correct. And I think that memang QS kena learn something that it's outside of our domain so that we can improve lah our profession and do much more value. And Azmi, I'm very interested when you mentioned you are working in the telco line, because as I'm aware of YTL project on big data for the development management. Kalau you don't mind, can you just drop me an email? I would be happy to contact with you.
Right, sure.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. We nearly 1 o'clock. I think we need to wrap up, but there are a lot more questions to ask. I think what I suggest is that we have part 2. Okay, part 2 of this some other times. I think I just have one question. Does the big data require to create a new software or it can be linked with any software that is existed, as some BIM software have their own data storage. Oh, ada yang request kat sini, I want second session. Okay, I want more. Okay, alright. So nampak gayanya you can take over our place. We are very happy if you come and join us as a lecturer. I'm sure they will be delighted. But anyway, just to wrap up, you can attend to this one Anissa question. Does the big data require new software, or it can be linked to any software that existed, as some BIM software has their own storage? I hope this is the final question. But before I give it the floor to you, students who are here, please make sure that who already enter from the very beginning to the end and who has to left due to connectivity, I would like you to remind you again to fill in your attendance, for today. Dr. Safira also, we were talking, for your information, we were talking about perhaps in the near future, very near future, meaning very soon, we will have collaboration with some other counterpart as well. Dr. Safira, maybe we could think about combining UITM and Asia, isn't it? Australia the other day, and discuss on this, because what we feel, especially us at the moment in the academy, as you very sure some of the students actually mentioned that, why don't we include this now in the syllabus and teach it whatever you teach now? The answer is very simple. We are still grappling even the terms and terminology, leave alone to have a full grasp. So we need more awareness, more talk like this to become more reachable to students, staff, and everybody. So over to you, Dr. Safira. And then we want you to have your last word to the student, perhaps some advice to them, how they should approach, because some of them, A, they will survive another 2 more semester in the course, B, they will join the industry, and the industry is not really at the moment, very, how should I say, very keen, quite gloomy. Yeah, they might have to become flexible in their choice of career. So over to you.
Okay. The question on tadi, apa tu, kena ke kita develop software baru semata-mata untuk harness the technology of big data, since that you mentioned about BIM. Question ni bagus sebab I guess you would have understand the basics yang I cerita dekat you tadi pasal teknologi. Jadi I think on my very few last slides, I talk about the issues and I mentioned about technology and I mentioned about flexibility. So in terms of that, betul I cakap kita sebenarnya tak perlu pun pinning on the word flexibility itself. Okay, kita punya software sekarang yang ada dekat market sekarang ni is being designed in such a way that it's very flexible, that it can be expand and it can join any other forms of platform. Sebab kalau kita nak bina from scratch boleh, cuma dia leceh lah nak transfer semua data tu semua kan. Kalau you dah ada BIM, macam let's say you pakai QB-Cos ataupun you pakai CosX, semua data yang you dah ada tu dah memang digitally stored dekat dalam platform tu. So kalau data tu, kalau platform tu, the system itself is flexible, then you can just build up from there. Macam contohnya case study macam PCE Primo, sebenarnya PCE Primo tu is an extension, bukannya dibina semata-mata untuk adopt big data technology. So dia punya origin punya system was Ratul, and I think Ratul you guys semua boleh access online. It's free for everyone. So Ratul ni is everything yang dia collect data, dia store kat dalam situ and orang boleh access. So bila dia buat PCE Primo, dia publickan Ratul tu. So because dia public kan, dia nak make sure kita pun boleh contribute dekat dalam data tu. So it grows synchronously. You know, you can build from there, easily build up from there and grow it synchronously. Sebab tu I think the word collaboration pun penting. Sebab kalau let's say in the industry itself, you bina 2 big data system yang sama, apa function dia? Betul tak? So bila you collaborate, bila benda tu super flexible, And then you as a person itself moving forward, you have to because big data ni kan I cakap endless kan, so you akan boleh tahu okay, this is not the area that I want to go, kita buat ni pula sebab banyak je area yang kita boleh buat in terms of big data. And then in terms of what I mentioned, Bonda cakap nak cakap few things. I dah tahulah, I'm not so wise. I think it's very important for the students today sebab macam when I was studying, I think you guys now
My dear,
very lucky.
my dear, perhaps you can relate well with them because your age gap is not that big. And so, yeah, you can really reach them. So say what you must, okay? Perhaps they can learn from your examples and perhaps directed to the right way rather than, not knowing what the future is there out there,
Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm not that young. I'm quite old. Okay, tapi pada it's very very important for the students today. So masa I belajar, I wasn't macam waktu I belajar kita tak ada pun all these licenses on QB course or course X. I wasn't exposed to that. That is how old I am. Tapi you guys are very lucky right now that you boleh access to all this technology. So I think that is very important for you. And then Bonda mentioned about the coronavirus pandemic, orang susah dapat kerja semua tu. I think that you have to build something that is interesting about yourself. And it's about, for me, I tak tahulah orang lain, tapi for me is go big or go home. If you want to do it, give it your all. Macam pada areas on big data ya.
Go big
or go home.
Go big or go home. I love that. Go big or go home. Yes.
So macam tak nak lah buat kerja macam suruh jalan macam tu kan tak nice lah kan. So macam pada I pun ada a good friend of mine, dia ni sangat suka main game tau. And I selalu cakap dengan dia, you ni kan macam ni tak ada kerja lain lah kan, apalah asyik main game. Apa je you dapat main game. Tapi sebenarnya kan I tak tahu game yang dia buat tu, game yang dia main tu is game yang dia buat sendiri. And he's a QS. So his interest in game has actually landed him a job in Gloden, I'm very, very proud of him. And then I thought there's a lot of skills that kita boleh grab that is outside from just learning what we learn in class. Kita belajar teknologi, kita belajar measurement, kita belajar cost estimating, things like that. Yes, tu penting sebab tu basic fundamental of what we are as a quantity surveyor. Tapi challenges today in 21st century is very, 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 very susah. Macam Encik Azmi cakap tadi, kita kena adjust, kita kena jadi kompetitif, betul tak? So kita haraplah the next generation in quantity surveying profession boleh learn data analytics, boleh learn, or you can start by just learning C++, Java, R, all these languages. Sebab benda ni sebenarnya tak payah pun pergi kelas. Kalau you nak invest boleh je, tapi I selalu belajar online je daripada YouTube. So benda-benda ni you just belajar on your free time. So nanti bila you nak kerja, you ada specialized sets of skill yang boleh bantu you punya marketability, and then bila you dah ada experience, you boleh datang balik kat kita in academic and help us create more things to empower the profession.
Wow, that's good. Yes, that's great. Yeah. Thank you very much. Yeah. I think all the students, please take note of what Dr. Zafira actually says, because she experienced it and you are going to actually experience it too. If I may add, the thing about the game just now, I think more and more construction industry organizations are now employing gamers, not for the fact that they want to ask them to create a game or whatever, but the absorptness, the absorptivity, the way that they can glue to the computer for a very long time, that itself is a very good assurance they can deal with big data much more effective than the other, people who are touch and go with the IT. All right. So in fact, some countries now are recruiting gamers to enter as a construction industry workforce. Oh yeah, before we go, there's one just like the cheeky comment from the lecturer here. Lepas ni kena masuk Zalora lah, nak ikut rentak Dr. Zafira. Tapi kalau nak masuk Zalora, kena slim dulu, baju Zalora semuanya slim laka. Okay, that is on the what do you call it, cheeky side. But last but not least, as I said, on behalf of the resource person, Dr. Anissa Zira, on behalf of PPUB, our Ketua Program, Dr. Samsida, Surveyor Dr. Samsida, and on behalf of FSQ, the Dean and UITM, I would like to actually, first of all, applaud you for a very refreshing and very close to the heart presentation. It's very easy to relate to. We always regard big data is something so difficult to comprehend. So thank you very much. You did excellent job. I'm sure the students love your presentation from the trending, now going trending, they like Dr. Zafira. Okay, go. All right. So with that, there is a request here. Lepas ni, jom kita on camera dan kita ambil satu kamera ramai-ramai. So let's open our camera. Kita ambil a family photo. Okay, please students, whoever, there are, by the way, touching to close to 169 to 170 just now. Now still towards the end, we still have 130 students with us. So can we now 1, 2, 3 open our camera, please? Everybody, the lecturers and students. Thank you. Cepat. Saya mohon Dr. Anis Rosniza tolong ambil gambar ya, sebab siapa-siapa yang ada kamera yang bagus kat sana tolong ambil gambar. Can you see the whole screen? Saya tak pandai nak adjust the screen. Can you see that everybody? Dr. Anis boleh nampak semua ke?
Boleh tak tahu nak adjust.
Okay, siapa yang pandai adjust? This is a big data juga lah ni. Tahu nak adjust untuk dapatkan semua orang dalam ni.
View.
Okay, boleh. Okay, 1, 2, 3, say cheese. Okay, alright. Thank you very much. Hari ni hari Jumaat, hari yang penuh barakah. Semoga apa ilmu yang disampaikan dimanfaatkan. Semoga pahala jua untuk anda, Dr. Zafira. Jazakallahu khairan katsira. Kita tutup majlis ini dengan bacaan Al-Ans ya. Bismillah.
Bonda nak kalau macam tadi I tak dapat jawab banyak soalan kat tepi tu kan, I think what we can do is that kalau ada representative from your side, just create a Google Sheet and then put my email kat situ. Nanti bila I free, I would be happy to attend to all the questions.
Oh, that's brilliant. That's brilliant.